Hello everyone, welcome to Finance Easy. To learn more about finance and economics, please subscribe to my channel. I am Ria, I am 17, currently studying commerce in the 12th grade of Jai Hind College of Mumbai. The lockdown gave me an opportunity to explore the real world and learn something beyond academics, where I started interning with a brokerage firm of my mentor. I have now become a finance enthusiast and share my learnings through this channel as a passion. It's been an insightful learning experience and I cannot await what the world of finance holds for me in the future. I hope you'll like my videos. Thank you. Today I'm going to talk about stock market indices. Introduction to stock market indices. I'm sure you must have heard about Sensex, Nifty, S&P 500, Dow Jones, wondering what they are. They all are stock market indices. Let me simplify this for you. A stock market index acts as a reflection of the economy of a country. Let's understand this through an example. In this example, there are two schools. One school has students who have passed with merit and distinction, whereas in the other school, students have majorly failed. Hence, ranks act as a reflection of the school. The school in which students have passed with merit and distinction proves to be the better school because of its ranks. Likewise, a stock market index acts as a reflection of the economy of the country. We can say that the country's economy is doing well if the top companies are making good profits. So, an index is used to measure the movements in the market, track the performance of the sectors, and it acts as a benchmark for investors and companies. In 1884, the world's first stock market index, Dow Jones Transportation Average, was published by Charles Dow and Edward Jones. This was the first ever index published in the world, and after this, there were a series of indices which were launched. There are two stock exchanges in India. The first one is the National Stock Exchange, popularly known as NSE. Nifty 50 is the flagship index of NSE. The second one is the Bombay Stock Exchange, popularly known as BSE. You may recollect this from the Harshad Mehta series or the Scam 1992 series because this is the oldest stock exchange in India. Sensex is the flagship index of BSE. Talking about Nifty, the index Nifty has multiple indices and sub-indices for different categories. This chart here is an overview of all the Nifty indices. As this is just a broader view, I won't be going in detail for each of them as it is very vast. Although you can check the link in my description which will take you to the official website of NSE where you can read about each of them in detail. So we mainly focus on the flagship index of Nifty, that is Nifty 50 as I mentioned. Before we talk about Nifty 50 in detail, let's talk about the Nifty sectoral indices. We have different sectors like banking, IT, media, etc. NSE indices has developed a series of sectoral indices that represent the collective performance of stocks in their respective sectoral index. Let me give you an example. In a school, different divisions help us give a summary of the performance of students for an exam. For example, Division A will give me the summary of how those 30 or 40 students in that division have performed in their exam. The same ways, these sectors give me the summary of the performance of the stocks they constitute of Nifty in that particular sector. Let's look at the Nifty sectoral indices. Also remember that Nifty is the main index. These are the sub-indices representing different sectors. So when I want to know the performance of a particular sector, this index will give me the summarized performance of the top 15, 20 or whatever number of companies the index constitutes. Also, I have given you a quick example of the highest contributor of the index. So the company that contributes the maximum to these sectoral indices is given right here as an example. First up we have is Nifty Auto. As the name suggests, it reflects the auto sector, which includes manufacturers of cars, motorcycles, heavy vehicles, auto ancillaries, etc. Maruti Suzuki is the highest weighted company contributing 20% to the index. Next we have is Bank Nifty, which reflects the most liquid and large capitalized Indian banking stocks. HDFC Bank is the highest weighted company contributing 29% to the index. Followed by Nifty Consumer Durables, which reflects the consumer durables industry. Titan Limited is the highest weighted company, contributing 32% to this index. Next we have is Nifty FMCG, which reflects the fast-moving consumer goods sector. FMCG are consumer packaged goods which are non-durable and mass consumption products. Hindustan Unilever is the highest weighted company, contributing 29% to this index. Then we have Nifty IT, which reflects the IT segment and activities like infrastructure, IT education and software training, software development, etc. Infosys Limited is the highest weighted company, contributing 27% to this index. Then we have Nifty Media, which reflects the behavior and performance of the media and entertainment industry, including printing and publishing. Z Enterprises Limited is the highest weighted company, contributing 30% to the index. Followed by Nifty Metal Index, which reflects the performance and behavior of the metal sector, including mining. Tata Steel Limited is the highest weighted company, contributing 23% to the index. Then we have Nifty Oil and Gas, which reflects the performance of the stocks belonging to oil, gas and the petroleum industry. Reliance Industries Limited is the highest weighted company, contributing 34% to the index. Next we have is Nifty Pharma, which reflects the pharmaceutical sector. Sun Pharmaceutical Industries Limited is the highest weighted company, contributing 20% to the index. Last but not the least, we have Nifty Realty, which reflects the real estate sector. Delhi Land and Finance is the highest weighted company, contributing 26% to this index. So if I look at these indices which represent the performance of these sectors, it will give me a summary of the performance as I mentioned. Let's understand Nifty 50 in detail. The Nifty 50 is the flagship index on the National Stock Exchange. This index tracks the top 50 blue chip companies, which are the largest and most liquid securities. It covers the major sectors of the Indian economy. As we understood what are sectoral indices, let's look at the sectoral contribution of Nifty 50. As we know, Nifty 50 constitutes the top 50 companies. Each company belongs to a certain sector. This will show how much the top companies in Nifty 50 contribute to different sectors. Nifty 50 contributes 39%, that is the maximum, to financial services, 18% to consumer, 15% to energy, 14% to IT, 6% to commodities, 4% to manufacturing, 2% to healthcare, and 1% to telecommunications and service. So this gives you an overview of the sectoral contribution of the index Nifty 50. Let's look at the top 10 constituents of Nifty. If you want to take a look at all the 50 companies of Nifty 50, you can check the link in my description, which will take you to the official website of NSE. So, of course, Reliance Industries Limited contributes 11% to the energy sector, which is the highest. Now, if you see, we just saw that Nifty 50 in total, in the sectoral contribution chart, contributes 15% to the energy sector in total. So, this gives us the conclusion that Reliance is just one of the constituents, because here it shows that it's contributing 11% and the total is 15% to the energy sector. So that 4% is contributed by other companies, whoever are contributing to the energy sector from the Nifty 50, top 50 constituents. So you have to check that on the website. It'll give you a breakup of which companies are contributing to the energy sector. And if you add those with Reliance, it will give you 15%. That is the total contribution by Nifty 50 to the energy sector. I hope you get this. Second company is HDFC Bank, which contributes 11% to the banking sector. Then we have Infosys, which contributes 7% to the IT sector. Fourth, we have HDFC Corporation, which contributes 7% to financial services. Followed by ICICI Bank, which contributes 7% to the banking sector. Then we have TCS, that's Tata Consultancy Services, contributing 5% to the IT sector. Then we have Kotak Mahindra Bank, contributing 4% to the banking sector. Followed by Hindustan Unilever, which contributes 3% to the consumer goods sector. Next we have Axis Bank, which contributes 3% to the banking sector. And last, that is the 10th constituent, is ITC, which contributes 3% to consumer goods. So these were the top 10 companies of Nifty 50. According to its weightage, there are more 40 companies which you can have a look at. Now this is a comparison of the sectoral contribution of Nifty 50 over the years. So a timeline comparison is always helpful because it gives you a conclusion of the sectors that have grown and degrown over time. So the three sectors that have grown over time are financial services, IT and consumer goods. And the sectors that have degrown over time are automobile, metals, industrial manufacturing, telecom and chemical and textile. Moving on to Sensex, S&P BSE Sensex is the benchmark index of Bombay Stock Exchange. It constitutes top 30 blue chip company stocks. It's the first and oldest index created in 1986 in India. So we can say that Sensex has the top 30 companies of Nifty 50 because Nifty 50 gives you the top 50 and Sensex gives you top 30. Now those top 30 are obviously out of those top 50. Now let's look at the sectoral contribution of Sensex. You all must be wondering that if it's the same 30 companies from Nifty 50, how does it change? But the twist here is that it will only contain 30 stocks of Nifty 50, not all 50. So the variation and the contribution percentage will change because there are only 30, total 30 companies, not 50. So let's see. The highest sector contributing to Sensex again is financial services, but with 42%. Then we have IT contributing 18%, oil and gas contributing 14%, FMCG contributing 8%, transport equipment contributing 4%. So basically transport, which is a new thing here. Capital goods contributing 3%, healthcare contributing 3%, chemical and petrochemical contributing 2%, telecom contributing 2%, power contributing 2%, and last but not the least, housing and consumer durables contributing 1% each. And that was the sectoral contribution of Sensex. Now as we've understood the indices, let's look at the ways to calculate an index. So there are several ways you can calculate an index which suffices its purpose. Let's look at the two most widely used methods of calculating an index. The first method is known as free float capitalization weighted method. Here more weight is given to the stocks of companies who have larger market capitalization. The second method is known as price weighted index, which as the name suggests gives more weight to the stocks of companies whose share prices is higher. Let's understand free float weighted capitalization method in detail. In free float market cap, which is also known as weighted market cap method, each component is weighted according to the size of its total market capitalization. To calculate free float, you have to multiply the number of publicly outstanding shares of each company with the current market price per share of each company. I repeat, publicly outstanding shares, that are the shares available for the public like you and me to buy or invest. We exclude privately owned shares because these are owned by trusts, government bodies, promoters and other people which have no role for the public. So an index that uses a free float methodology tends to reflect market trends because it only takes into consideration the shares that are available for trade. But also remember that when you calculate the standard market capitalization for any index or company, the calculation involves determining the total number of outstanding shares, which includes both public and private. That time you do not bifurcate them because you're calculating the total worth of the company or total worth of the particular index or whatever you're calculating. You can check out my video on market capitalization and how is it calculated. It's a detailed explanatory video. The link is in my description or at the top of the video right here. Coming back to this, let's look at an example to simplify our learning. For better understanding, let's take an example and understand how free float is calculated. This is just solely for an example purpose, so this data is just made up for an example. We have Infosys. The outstanding shares are 50,000, each priced at rupees 28 each. From these, 30,000 shares are held publicly while 20,000 shares are owned privately. So this is the information we have. Let me just give you a gist of how the standard market capitalization is calculated. We take the total number of outstanding shares of Infosys. no bifurcation, so public private doesn't matter, total number which is 50,000, and multiply it with the current market price per share, which is 28. So 50,000 into 28 gives me 14 lakh. That is the market capitalization for Infosys. We can say that is the market worth of Infosys. Now when we look at free float, we only take the publicly owned market shares, which are 30,000, and multiply it with the price, which remains the same, that is 28, and we get 8,40,000. So the free float market capitalization is 8,40,000. The key difference between them is that in free float, the private shares are excluded. I hope this example simplified how free float is calculated and what is the difference between free float and the standard market capitalization method. So a few indices that use free float market capitalization method are Nifty 50, FTSE, S&P 500 and Nasdaq. The second method is price weighted, which is relatively less used. In this method, the companies are weighted in proportion to their price per share. Here you have to calculate the total sum of the price per share of all the companies in the particular index you're calculating, and then divided by the total number of companies. So for example, if you're calculating Nifty 50 according to the price weighted method, you first have to calculate the sum of the price per share of all the 50 companies. So you add them up and then you divide it by 50 because there are total 50 companies in that index. And the answer you get will be the price weighted market capitalization of Nifty 50. So Dow Jones is the index which is calculated by the price weighted method. It gives more weightage to the companies which have higher share prices. Let's look at an example for better understanding of the price weighted method. So this is an example purpose question again. I have taken 5 companies. I have put in the outstanding shares for each of them and the share price as on 25th July 2021 when I am making this video. Please refer to the previous close as a current market price, as it is the last price at which the shares have been traded at. So when you calculate according to the price weight method, we have to calculate the total sum of the share prices of all the companies and divided by the total number of companies. So if we look at this example here, we have 5 companies. Actually, there's no roll of the shares outstanding. I've just given it. So we have Reliance at 2,104, then Infosys at 1,589. Then TCS, that is Tata Consultancy Services, at 3,210. Then HDFC Bank at 1,443 and Hindustan Unilever at 2,359. So when we add this, I get 10,705. Now the total companies here are 5. We have Reliance, Infosys, TCS, HDFC Bank and Hindustan Unilever, which are 5 companies. So I will divide it by 5. So 10,705 divided by 5 gives me 2,141. That is the answer for the price weighted. So according to the price weighted method, the answer is 2,141. That's how this is calculated. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Do like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and connect with me on LinkedIn. The links are in the description given below.